Good evening and welcome to another episode of Easy 8's Online Painting Club. My name's Danny, and for the next 2 hours I'm going to be painting some of my miniatures, hopefully along with you, while you keep me company and I keep you company, because we've all got those big burgeoning piles of grey plastic, unpainted, uncoloured, and it just never seems to end. I don't even know if I used the right word, burgeoning, but burgoning, a really big pile of grey stuff that never seems to get painted. That's what it's all about tonight. It's about coming along on the live chat, making some friends with these guys over here, maybe just carrying on the conversation with friends you've already made over here, keeping me company while I paint my stuff, and hopefully you can teach me a thing or two, because I'm not very good, which leads me on to the fact that this is not a tutorial show. If you're new here, this isn't anything where you can really learn anything. I'm not really that good. Hopefully I inspire you to pick up your paints. Hopefully you'll motivate me to get my stuff painted. But yeah, it's just a place where you can come along, make some friends and paint some stuff, really. If you like what we do here on the show, or like what I do on the show, please do consider subscribing. Every subscriber goes a really long way to making this community grow. And do you know what? We're getting a really nice community over the last few weeks, last few months. It's pronounced burgeoning. Thanks for clarifying that one there, Shiv. That's really handy. Thank you very much. Yeah, we're making a really nice community, and I'm really enjoying the chats that I have with you guys, especially at the end of the show, where you can join me this evening if you want to, and everybody else at the Easy 8 After Party on Discord. There's a link to all of our platforms just down there. We're not just here on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Discord as well. So come and join the show and prolong the show. After the show. It's totally unscripted. I don't know if you've picked that up yet. There's a vibe of haven't really worked out what it is that I'm going to say. I just opened my mouth and sounds come out, and I love it. Anyway, I'd love to know what it is that you're painting this evening. So if you are working on a project, like I said, I genuinely am motivated and inspired by the works that you do. So if you're working on something, please do tell me. Share all about it. Share all about it. Yeah, share all about it. Tell these guys over here, take some pictures of it, stick it up on Facebook, put it on Discord if you want to. I read all messages, look at all pictures, and yeah, there's been some really fantastic works that have been going on lately. I was talking to some of the guys over the last couple of weeks and look at some of the pictures that have been going on Facebook or on Discord, and some phenomenal stuff over there, making me feel very small with my limited abilities. Although, last couple of weeks, a bit of a victory. Really happy about that. I managed to kind of really dial in on what I wanted to do with some bases for my Skitari army for 40k. And I've also taken quite a step in being able to do OSL, which is really, it makes me really happy. I'm really not very good at it, and it's taken me a long time to get there. And last week, if you want to go back and have a little watch on the show, not now, of course, later on, you can see me have a little bit of a step in progress. And yeah, there's still a ways to go to make it really, really good, but it was a really good first step. It's not my first step, actually. I've been trying to do it for flipping ages. But it looks really good, and I'm really happy with it. So, this week, what am I going to be doing? Well, I've got a lot of projects sort of on the workbench lined up ready to go, but which ones I did next I kind of left up to you guys. I had 4 projects all lined up and ready to sort of rock and roll, so I put a poll up on YouTube, which I shared on Facebook about 2 weeks ago, and funnily enough it was a bit of a photo finish. One of them got about 18% and the other 3 all got exactly 27%, so we managed to fine-tune one out of that. So yeah, I thought, well, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make a choice based on, the whittled down version that you guys supplied me with. So I'm going to show you what that project is. You can see it just here, can't you? I'm kind of giving it away. Don't look, you're spoiling it. But before we go any further, let's have a look, see what we've got in the live chat. We've got Table of Horrors, that's Shiv, hello all, hi mate. We've got Jeff, that's my dad, hi dad. We got Adrian, we got Overlord Games, and we've got Sam who's just joined us as well. Hi guys, thanks very much for coming along. I hope you're all doing well. Table says, I came here to drink, paint, water and kick names. I'm all out of names. I don't even know what that means. Jeff is working on a World War I trench system. Loads of them. Fantastic. Photos, all that never happened, please. Is that going to work in the same way that your rivers and roads sections work? Because you do like magnetized roads and rivers with like hedges and bocage on them as well, and they are absolutely fantastic. They all like clip together perfectly, very, very little seam between them with some really heavy-duty magnets, and they're fantastic. I wonder if your trenches are going to do the same. That'd be cool. And Shiv from Table Horror says, still working away on the wife's Escher gang. Photos, 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 please. Anyway, I'm going to take you straight over to the workbench because I could sit here and yap all night, and that would be as dull as dishwater. Nearly couldn't say it. Anyway, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, all that fun stuff. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to give you a second just to go and give a thumbs up to this video. Go on, treat yourself. Because every little helps. Everything goes a really long way to making the algorithm work for Easy 8. All hail the algorithm. Thanks very much. Oh, Jeff says, yeah, the same idea. Fantastic. Looking forward to seeing that. Anyway, to the workbench. So last week there were some issues around the volume of the background music and things on the show. As always, if there's anything wrong with the video, with the visuals, if there's anything wrong with the audio, anything like that, just let me know during the live chat and I'll do my very best to make it all disappear and change things so it's a better experience for you guys. I'm not a very technological guy, but you know, there's a few buttons that I can smash until something happens. Anyway, what am I going to be working on this evening? I'm going to be working on 5 super cool little steampunk miniatures. The reason I chose these over all the other projects that I had lined up was just basically based off of the successes that I've had over the last few weeks. So these are slightly larger miniatures from my 40k Skitarii army. I really like the steampunk aspect to this army. That's what really attracted me to them. Now, these guys aren't the standard rifle-bearing, hooded Martian people. They are the same people. Basically, these guys in the story of it all, these guys are the other guys that I've been painting injured so badly that they couldn't possibly do that task anymore. Their evil overlords come along. As long as they got some limbs and a brain and a bit of a torso with some organs in it, they basically stick appendages all over them and they become blindingly fast, super elite assassins. And I really, really like that. In fact, these miniatures really, really give me the feels of that Clockwork Assassin. I think he's like a colonel, isn't he? In the Hellboy, the original Hellboy movie with Ron Perlman. There's like an SS officer come ninja come clockwork aberration thing. And these guys really give me sort of the vibes of that character. I think it's really, really cool. They got the funny little mask that's a little reminiscent of a World War I, World War II sort of gas mask. I'm really struggling with the autofocus there today. There we go. Really, really like them. The idea is that these guys move abnormally fast, sneak up behind you, and then dispatch you really quickly. And they've got some really cool weapons. They're like close combat guys. These guys have all got, excuse the incoming super nerdy word, transonic swords or transonic blades. The idea is that they vibrate, nonchalantly as they do, and it means that they can pass through steel as if it were butter. Those sorts of tools actually exist in the real world, by the way. You can get sonic blades. That is a real thing. That is how they prepare foods and like pre-chopped foods, like cheesecakes. You know when you buy a cheesecake and it's pre-sliced? And if you try and cut your own cheesecake, you make a real hash of it and it's crumbs and bits and you tear it and it goes all rubbishy. Sonic blades, they're an actual real thing. It looks like a normal knife, and on the factory thing, they're just kind of automated on the side. And they just vibrate at a frequency where they just kind of cut through and it's just nice clean. So, as nerdy as it sounds, and I do love the nerd, it is a real thing. It's plausible. Love it. Mythbusters, eat your heart out. So, these were... threw it on the ground. These were pre-made, as were a lot of the miniatures that I got from this collection were, because they were very kindly given to me by a guy who had a big change of lifestyle. Some big events occurred in his life, and he just wanted to give them to someone who wanted to enjoy them, paint them, have fun with them. And that guy was me. I'm forever grateful. They are pre-built, essentially, and I've spent the last few days just going over them, finding little seam lines and little bits of sprue, etc., and trying to clean them up, because I suppose he had so many miniatures that he wasn't too fussed about having seam lines and little, dots of sprue marks on them. I struggle leaving those bits on there, so I've been going over with my little blade, some little sanding sponges, and I call it my Marmite tool. You either hate it or you love it. I love it. Just trying to clean those seams up. I've got one problem with them so far, and that is because of the way that they were stored, they were given to me. These blades are really thin, and if you look very carefully, they've got like cool little holes in them to make them look kind of stylish. But that means that they're only as strong as the thinnest part in the middle in there. Well, if I can get the autofocus to come in. There, you can see it. So they are really, really weak, and a couple of them are bent, and it's not going to be long before they go. And they are so small, I don't know if I'll be able to fix them. Bit of Butterfingers today, aren't I? That's actually one of the better quality ones, that one. So I'm trying to frantically come up with a solution in my head on how I'm going to fix them when they go, or prevent them from going. One of the things I've been thinking about is getting really, really thin wire. The sort of wire, do you know when you buy like a kid's toy or something and it's got those little plastic coated wires that you kind of twist up into like a little bow or whatever? I've got a couple of those lying around because I find the wire sometimes quite helpful, but it's also really, really thin. I could get some of that, stretch it out thin, and just super glue it along the edges of these sword blades, and it might just make them a little bit stronger. I just think it's going to be more trouble than it's worth, and I don't know how strong that's going to be. You know? So if you guys have got any suggestions on how to make that problem go away, that'd be cool. You can see this one here. You can even see the little perish marks just in there. Is it going to come into focus? What's going on my focus today? Come on now. Anytime now. Welcome to Easy 8 Focus Camera Club. You can see that ever so slightly bent. Yep, don't know what to do about it. So yeah, I'm open to suggestions. Be my guide, please. I would love your thoughts and assistance. Yeah, even if I manage to get through the whole painting process and they all look really, really cool by the end of it, yay me! I bet you, within a couple of months being travelled around or stored or whatever, they're gonna go. They're gonna go. Bit of a silly design, really. I mean, great design. I think they look really cool, but they're gonna go, right? Anyway, I'm just gonna paint them. So, how am I going to paint them? First things first is I need to prime them, getting ready for, the colours that are going to go on them. Now, I was looking through some of the paint schemes online and in the book that I've got, and they're actually quite dark, and I like that. I like that aspect of them. The colour scheme that I've been doing with the rest of my army is bright orange, but I think I'm going to avoid that for the most part. They do have like a little leader guy. He's still got his cloak that looks like the other ones. So there's going to be some orange in the scheme as a unit. But I think I'm going to try and keep these quite dark, quite clockwork, steampunk, like dark steampunk vibes. So I was going to actually break out some brassy brass. That's a colour that I've spoken about years and years ago and come back to it occasionally. Never really used it. It's a really dark, brassy colour, essentially. Here it is. I think that might be a nice colour. It looks quite bright in the pot here under the lights, but when it goes on, it will be quite dark. And I can also use my unifying blending colour, which is the Basilicanum Grey, mixed down with water. I use that on all my silvers, and that really helps the silvers look a little bit more, I don't know, fun. And it might help darken them all down. They've got some little overalls in there, just around their, what's left of their legs, and maybe a little bit on their sleeves. Yeah, this guy's got a little sleeve here. And all the overalls on the army that I've been doing so far are like a kind of a bluey colour. So we're going to have some blues, some silver, some brasses. Yeah. And then maybe some glowing lights and features like that. The swords, I think I'm going to do bright silver, and I'm going to do like an inky blue wash over the top of them, because apparently in the supporting material that I've read, when they're active, they're supposed to glow blue. Because why not have it glowing when it makes a vibrating sound that slices through all materials? So first things first is I've got to prime them. I've got a lot of interest in priming things black lately. The more I learn about priming things, black seems to be the way to go. But I know that orange is a real pig of a pigment. And even though I've got a high pigment Fanatic paint here to kind of go over it by hand, I think that white is going to be best to really kind of make that orange pop. And then all the other metallics will all be done by hand. And as I'm going to be doing silver and brass and some blues in there, I don't think that's going to be a bad thing. So white it is. So, here we go. Gonna get some white primer, gonna give that a shake. Charge up the old compressor and the airbrush, and I'm gonna get these guys primed. Also, when I prime them, I might stick a small wash over them. Just a light Nuln Oil or something, just so that I can see all the details on them. Because I'm sure there's loads of stuff on there that I haven't seen properly yet, you know? And it'll also show me any areas that I want to, you know, try and remove, like more sprue lines, mould lines, sprue dots, anything like that, where I haven't quite seen them. I'm not going to be too fussy about it. They were a free gift. I'm not going to be overly analytical or critical about it. I just want to try and make them look as clean as I can from this sort of distance that they're at from me now. You know, they're a couple of feet away on top of the tabletop. I've got a really itchy nose. I keep scratching it. I'm so sorry. More comments going in. Shiv says, thumbs up early. It's a problem at my age. What going there? Sakaran infiltrators tonight then. Yeah, you got it. Can you get a sonic screwdriver yet? I keep seeing this guy use one on a documentary. Yeah, but he's always hanging out in a creepy little police box. Weird. Could you use some milliput juice or thin down liquid green stuff to give them a bit more mass and structure? Yeah, I could. That's not a bad shout, that actually. I have some thin straight wire you can have. Very thin, very strong. That sounds like a winner. Maybe I could do like a combo of the two. Yeah, anyway. Just keep on shaking this. It is very, very warm in the studio today. The PC behind me chucks out a lot of heat, but I mean, I'm 20 minutes in and I've got my sweat on. Cool. Anyway, got some primer ready to go. Let's get a little sheet where I can spray some stuff onto. I used the one last week that I was using because it's got some pretty colours on there. Those are the colours that I was using for the glow, and the blue worked really well. I was a bit disappointed with the magenta. I think what Yana was saying last week is it needs more white, and you can see here that it's a nice pretty colour and it has a lot of vibrance behind it. But on my miniature, it didn't work so well. More white needed. Okay. Just make sure that the old airbrush is working fine, because I have a habit of not cleaning it out properly. I'm just going to stick a bit of water in there just to loosen it up a little, cleaning the dust or debris that's sat in there. Cool. Just some simple white primer. Not really counting the drops. I normally do when I'm doing paint schemes. I'm just going to put a load in there, and I'm going to put a little bit of thinner in because primer's just a little bit denser. I don't know if that's the right words to use. Burgeoning. And I just want it to be a little bit easier to flow through. Do you know what I could do? I could put a little bit of flow improver in there as well, couldn't I? There's quite a bit of substance in that hopper now, so 3 drops of something else will always make it work a bit nicer. Here's my little mixing brush. Now, here's something I saw on a Hobby Supply website the other day. Is a fine-tipped brush. It's quite a large belly on it, but a fine-tipped brush for cleaning and mixing inside your airbrush. Why would you want a really delicate, thin-tipped brush for doing what is basically a stabbing maneuver? Just get a rubbishy old brush. Do the same thing, and you won't have to spend lots of money on it, and you won't be disappointed at the end. I don't get it. Lovely. Cool. A quick test. Excellent. Got a nice flow going through there. Right. Now, it barely looks like I'm doing anything at the moment. You might be able to see a little bit appearing on the base. But through watching tutorials over the years, I have learned that a quick, light, dusty first coat, to the point where you can almost barely see it, let things air dry a little bit, so I can help speed that up with air from the airbrush. And then we can come in with some slightly heavier passes, and that just means that that first coat properly goes on, cures properly, but goes on super thin, so you're not getting ridiculous amounts of build up, which will show up ugly yeah, I'm starting to see some sprue lines on there. They're also really delicate and there's lots of fiddly little details on these guys where don't really want to get in there with a knife because they're all pre-built. It's actually quite difficult to clean them up. So I'm just going to have to teach myself some resilience and not worry about all the sprue marks and things on them. That's definitely one of those things I need to get better at. There's so many angles to have to come from. I turn him around and go, oh, there's a bit I haven't done or haven't done quite so well. Just make sure that I get from as many angles as possible so there's no unpainted bits. And white will show up loads so I can come back in and with other colours later on and make sure that it's all covered. If there's only white showing at the end, I know I've missed bits. But if it's all grey, it'll probably blend away and you'll have a bit that's not painted, and then later on I'll see it and be like, oh my god, I didn't paint that. Cool. Hit that with a little bit there. Lovely. One done. On to the next. Don't pick them up by the swords, Danny. What's wrong with you? Oh, just making sure that we've got all the comments in. We have. Fantastic. Went in a bit heavy there, didn't I? So, some other news. I got my new car. Had it delivered to me at work. And I've been driving it around like a proper little boss. It's a very nice car. Thank you very much for all the well wishes and support from people who, you know, checking in after I had my very, very minor accident. As minor as it was, it did mean that I wrote my car off. But I have a new one. And it's very posh, and I'm feeling quite middle class. So in between work and cleaning up miniatures, I've been trying to drive my new car with lots of features that I've never had before. Even in the very shiny car I drive at work. And that is a shiny car. Electric handbrake. Oh my gosh. Automatic hill start assist. Don't like that. Wireless phone charger. Crazy stuff. Heated wing mirrors so that the rain evaporates off of them. That's something I used to have in my old my old learning car when I was doing my driving test years and years ago. And yes, most importantly, it still has that new car smell. What is the new car? It is a Seat Leon. So I used to drive a Seat Ibiza. I was looking at lots of different brands. I know it was an Ibiza that kept coming up. Sorry, an Ibiza, a Leon that kept coming up. No, a couple of them actually. And I know Seat. So I thought, well, stay with what you know if you're comfy with it. I was looking at a couple of others. And it was just a very good car, and it's very, very new. It's under 10 years old, which is new for me. And a fashionable gunmetal grey. So yeah, I feel very trendy. It's a diesel car though, so that's a bit of a shame, isn't it? Yikes, I've gone through almost all of my primer in the hopper already, and I'm only 2 miniatures in. It's quite a complex and busy set of models. starting to look at them going, oh, this is going to be quite a daunting task. They actually look like quite fun to paint, but actually they're quite intimidating. There's quite a lot going on them. Now, here's some stress. The gentleman who I bought this from didn't put the cloak parts together very well, so there's a great big line down there. Now I'm thinking I might be able to fill that. I'm going to come back to that one. I've also noticed there's a little chunk of sprue left on it still. I've got some products that can fill that up. I think actually out of all of it, super glue might be the best thing. Super glue is a really good filler. The problem I've got with a lot of putty fillers is that when you start sanding them, they just sand right out of the gap. And I have a feeling it might do the same on this. So I might use super glue. Give that a quick go. Anyway, I'll come back to that one in a minute. What is quite nice about moving into this project is that with the rest of this army, every time I've painted something, it's always been unfinished in my mind, because I've never really known how to finish off those bases or how to do that glow effect. But now I'm moving into the project and I've done all of those things. So this feels like a brand new project without the weight of something still to go, if that makes sense. I've actually been finishing things on the show. That's really rare. Really, really rare. Tiny little bit of sprue left on this little effort on the side of his backpack here. It's kind of out of focus right now, but I think they look like little lights, and I would like to do a little bit of, just a tiny bit of glow effects on them later on. And yeah, I want to clean that up because it will spoil the effect. So yeah, doing this has shown me a little bit more cleanup to do. That's fine. It's just a bit of a nuisance to have to clean it. That's not to say that I'm not very grateful for receiving these. I mean, it's like hundreds of pounds worth of stuff that this man's given me. He said, I want to give them to someone who's going to enjoy them and get as much love out of them as I did, said he. So yeah, of course I'm happy to have them. I've run out. I need a bit more. Put a little bit less in, so I won't put the flow improver in this time. Just get a slightly damp brush. All that moisture, even just a tiny bit on the brush, will change how the paint behaves. But it seems to be coming out alright. There we go. Quick flow test. Lovely. I'm really glad I've got an airbrush for doing priming and mass base work, because I find it really frustrating having to do all this sort of priming by hand. I don't know how anybody else feels about hand priming. I just find it really frustrating, really laborious, really boring, and I end up missing things or going in too heavy and it takes forever. and it's just not the fun part. But by doing it all by brush, it makes it quicker, easier, and it is much more fun because spraying paint's fun. How does everybody else feel about priming? Do people prime at all? Do you just get paint straight on it? I used to do that. Crumb Studios has joined us. Hi Crumbs, how you doing? Nice to see you again. Are you painting anything this evening, Crumbs? What is the project of choice today? Tell us all about it. So many weird angles. Ooh-wee. To quote Rick and Morty. Okay, so put that down for a second. Let's move this away to stop the glare. So I've got this really annoying seam, and right at the top up there I can see there's a little bit of sprue. So are we all having a good summer equinox? Do you know what? I wrote that in the schedule and I totally forgot to say it when we started. Happy summer solstice, everybody. Happy longest day. Thanks very much for reminding me. Shiv says, I took the wife to see a hedgehog hospital yesterday. She was very excited to meet her first hoggo. How was your day, week, crumbs and all? I'm sorry, a hedgehog hospital? We're missing a lot of context in this story. I need to know more. I'll be painting my bust that came in the post yesterday. Very nice. It sounds like an awesome project. Yeah, I agree. The week has been good. Good. Glad that your week has been good. Gentle, gentle, gentle. Cool. Got rid of that lumpy bit. Fantastic. So this big whippy thing here with a daggery, stabby bit on the end of it, apparently is called a cord claw, and it is also a transonic weapon. So he has a sword in one of his hands, and he's got like a handful of blades, because why not? And then he's got a backpack, which one side's got a claw coming out of it, and he's got a sword in this side over here. He's got lots of arms. I like it. It's cool. I like the fact that the feet look a little bit hoovy as well. That's kind of cool, right? But I just need to see if I can fill this hole. So I've got plastic putty, which I've used on things like this in the past, and it just doesn't work so well. It has worked really well on my Screamer Killer, but it's got lots of lumps and bumps and things to hide it, and this needs to be quite a smooth thing. The problem I've got with super glue is that it becomes really strong and it's really sandable, but it's quite a tough space to get anything in there to sort of sand it down, so I don't know what to use. There's a part of me that wants to be bold and give it a go, but I don't know. I'm just play it safe. Don't start off bad. I'm just gonna get a little bit of this. I'm gonna put a little bit on the palette. It's water soluble. It's acrylic based, water soluble putty, and it's white, so it will show through. The orange colour is going to go on there quite well. I'm going to use a thin brush. It's not bad on brushes, so I'm going to use one of my nice sable brushes, and And I'm just going to get like a little dollop on the end, tiny bit of water in it, and I'm going to brush it in like it's basically a thick paint, because essentially that's what it is. Now it will leave texture on the surfaces that I don't want textured, so what I've got to try and do is get as much of it as I can into the gap. And I'm just basing this off of common sense. This isn't like I know specifically techniques on how to achieve this. So once I've got it into the gaps there, I'm going to make sure that there's a good amount in it, like so. I'm going to clean the brush out, and then I'm going to come through with a damp brush, and I'm just going to try my best to wipe it away. And sort of blend it in. The problem is, if you go in too heavy with the water, it's really soluble, so you end up pulling it out of the gap that you've put it into. Now I'm sure it's just a case of practice. And it's not looking all that bad right now, to be honest. Cool. I'll just go to the other side because there is a little seam line there. I'm pretty happy with how that's gone. Okay, that might have solved the problems. Let's see what that's like in a bit. I'm just going to let them sit there and air dry for a minute. Tiddlywinks. It's mostly known for treating wild hedgehogs, but they also treat all wild animals. The ones they can't release back, they keep. They have a few deer, a badger, some turtles, kites, and hoggers. That's really sweet, isn't it? I love that. Adrian says, had good news this week. After 10 weeks of being housebound, I'm now able to drive and return to work. Freedom. Yes, congratulations, I agree. Nice to be back out there again. Here's to your good health. A cup of tea, British way. Cheers. I'm not trying to take your freedom, I only want to borrow it for 20 minutes. But in all fairness, nice one. I don't know what that means, but okay. So, on this little guy here, there's a tiny little nub, spot, dot thing, where it was chopped off the sprue. It looks a little bit ugly, and I was only noticing it really when I was starting to spray it. So I'm going to pull all sorts of faces while I go in very delicately with a huge big Stanley knife. Shave that down. So I want it to look like a bit of a light bulb. Where's my Marmite tool? Here it is. That's too big. Ace. Right. Back to spraying. It's a play on Braveheart reference, but a very bad one. I just did it. I'm so sorry. Love Braveheart though. And utterly historically inaccurate, but a really good film. Same with Gladiator, right? I mean, historically, nothing to learn at all. Just everything is wrong. But, I mean, there were Romans. But, yeah, I like the film. It's good. Right. That's that done. Over to Boss Man. I'm just going to give it some air in there a minute, just to help those seams dry. I am very nervous about those swords. What can you do, huh? Just your best. Maybe someone's got them on a 3D file or something where I could print them out in resin. Get someone to print them out for me and replace them. That sounds like it might be a doable thing. The seam is still there, but it's a lot less than what it was. I can perhaps come back in with some more in a minute. It being white is going to help it blend in with the primer. Again, just to help agitate that paint as it dries. It's a bit of a boring part of the show so far, isn't it? But I think priming is really important. So, priming models, kids. I think I've just got to the end of my primer. Well, that's a win, isn't it? I believe the Mechanicus refer to the knobs of sprue as plascrete support pylons. Yep. Yeah, I'll roll with that. Of course they do. If the roughness of the filter shows through the paint, the filler, sorry, you could paint the whole coat to cloak with filler. It would give you the same texture over the whole thing. That's a really good, obvious thing to do. Yep, I like that. I'm going to give it another coat of that filler because I can still see that it just needs a bit more filling. I think the trick is to not sand it, which I'm not going to do because it's so awkward to get in there. Talking about textures and paints and things, a couple of weeks ago, Shiv from Table of Horrors and myself were talking on Discord after the show. We were talking about adding pigments into different types of paints. Do you remember, Shiv? And we were talking about adding the pigments that I use for doing the bases for these guys into crackle medium. and it was taking ages to dry. Well, the results are in, and they're shabby. They're awful. Don't do it. I think I've got them here somewhere still. Oh yeah. Oh, they're gross. Nice thought, but yeah. I'll tell you now, mate. It wasn't what we were hoping it was. Oh yes. Oh no. Worth a go though, wasn't it? Science. I think if I add any more, it's just going to be a bit over the top, really. Okay. Right. I need to clean my airbrush out so that I can get rid of all the primer that's in there, and then I'm going to come in and spray some orange on it as well. Just on this guy, though, I think. The other guys aren't going to have orange on them, are they? So I don't actually need to do that. Interesting. Okay, so I'm just going to spray him orange. The others I'm going to do silver. That might save me an awful lot of time. Cool. Thinking ahead. Yeah, so I'm going to show you. Here you go. So here's the little test base that I was trying it out on. Here's, yeah, the crackle pigments. It just looks like a big blob of, like, PVA. Focus? Come on now, focus. It doesn't want to focus, I'm so sorry. Let's stop autofocusing. Glossy and awful. It's actually kind of clanged up the crackle. If you get what I mean. Rubbish, huh? Wow, there you go. Guess we all have to buy crackle pits like everybody else. Yeah, you're absolutely right there, mate. I'm going to leave the autofocus off a little bit to see how we get on here. So, it has been decided. I'm going to spray orange over this leader guy because he's got a cloak that's going to be painted orange. The other guys are not going to have orange on them. So I'm going to just spray them silver. Yep. That's what's going to happen. Very, like an asterisk. Yep. It's okay to say cat's bum. Just looks awful, doesn't it? Going to wipe out the inside of the hopper there so debris doesn't go into it in a minute when I'm spraying other colours in there. There. Bits like that. Doesn't look like much when it's just sprayed up against the side of the hopper wall, but actually it's quite a bit of stuff that would just clog up your airbrush. So yeah, I always take that off and give that a clean separately. Right. To orange. I use Hot Orange by Vallejo Game Air. If I'm painting this by hand, or with a brush rather than airbrush, over the top of other colours like silver, if I've decided to spray them more silver, the pigment in this is useless. It's barely got any. So I've been trying to find high pigment oranges that would give me a base over the top of darker colours or metallics, because that's terrible. And I've got a couple that I choose from. Both are suggested by Grant at Overlord. Hi Grant. This one here is Duncan Rhodes Too Thin Coats. It's a really nice paint, it's really good. The colour's quite different, but it means that I can paint over the top of it. And the one that I haven't tried yet, that I bought from Grant a little while ago at Legionary, was the new War Paints Fanatic range. This one's much closer, much closer, and I think that they are higher in pigment. I don't think I actually need to use it today, but that's fine. Right. That should be enough shape. Going to put a couple of drops in there because it's just the one model that I'm doing. Let's see where that goes. Let's give it a bit. Flow test. Oh, lovely. It's a powerful colour. It's punchy, but it just hasn't got that coverage. Still quite a seam line in there, but do you know what? It's better than it was earlier, so I'm just going to leave it. The inside of the cloak is going to be crimson red, so I don't have to do it from both sides, just the outer side. I chose orange as a colour to do on these guys because I've never used orange before, so I thought that would be fun. See if there's a colour scheme in the book to follow. There is. And they don't do any of the army markings for this army anymore, which is a real nightmare. Now, I have found somewhere on Reddit. I'm not a Reddit user. It took a long time to find it. But there's a guy who's made all the army symbols in black or in white as a free PDF. I saved that file somewhere, don't know where it is, and I've also found a gentleman who will make high quality, or at least he declares them to be high quality, homemade sheets of decals. I'm struggling to think of the word, but they're a bit spenny. So I want to make sure that, you know, it's the right choice for me. Because so far I haven't been putting any army symbols on them, and I don't think it loses anything. But it would be nice to have, especially for the vehicles. Do I need it? Not really. Let's give that a little bit of there. Nice and vibrant already, isn't it? That's the white punching through. If I was painting this over black, it would have been pointless. Absolutely pointless. Obviously there's a lot of overspray, things that are getting painted orange when they shouldn't be, but that's a job for hand painting later on. What is important, just making sure that I get a nice even colour, a nice even layer. You can tell when you do, because the next layer goes over it even better. If I spray it too heavily, it builds up really quickly, it looks awful. And then you'll get uneven layering, and no one wants that. Down the bottom here, it's looking quite shiny. Or it's drying and it goes semi-glossy. I don't like that. just some little bits now behind some of these weird appendages at the back. It's quite difficult to get in there. I've only got like a tiny bit of spray in there, and it's made the colour go quite patchy. I've just run out of paint, I think. I have. But that's fine. I think that's good enough. Because I'm going to come in with some wash in a minute anyway and dull that colour down. Make it look weathered at the same time. With a little bit of Agrax Earthshade. I think it's Agrax. I might even use sepia. Can't remember. Better find out in a minute. Sepia would probably be a better colour. Yeah, you can see the seam, and it's a bit of a shame, but in the interest of just wanting to get an army done, I'm going to leave it like that. Right, again, I'm just going to purge the airbrush here, make sure there's no orange left in there, because in a minute I'm going to come back and I'm going to do some silver on all the other guys, but the silver on this guy will now have to be done by hand so that I don't get silver all over the orange, because that would be rubbish. How are your projects coming on? Some of you are working on some things this evening. Are you having some successes, or is it just kind of monotonous busy work? It happens. Everyone has busy work. This is kind of busy work, really, isn't it? Just getting the bases done. I like the process, though. I appreciate the process, because it all starts off as, you know, almost tiring spray work. Getting everything primed, getting your base colours blocked in properly, and then it turns into, you know, layering and neating things up, and then there's the long process of doing all the details. I like every step of it. It's a welcome change from the last step. So I'm going to get these guys silvered, and then I'm going to come back to this guy, get some red on the inside of his cloak. That's going to go in by hand, and then by hand I'm going to get some brassy brass on the other guys, and then work out where their overalls are, I suppose, so that I can paint those the funny blue colour that they're going to have. Yeah, that's where I'm at with that right now. Anyway, a couple of comments going in. Painting Necromunda models is a bit different to painting Space Marines, it turns out. Yeah, absolutely is. They are much more involved, a lot more details, and I love the fact that every set of models that you buy with Necromunda, there's always very deliberately one very unnecessarily tiny, one very unnecessarily tiny piece that needs to go in there. I remember seeing in the Cawdor gang, there's like a tiny little addition to like a staff or like a relic standard or something like that, and it's like a tiny little piece, and you have to use tweezers, and even then it's difficult. I had the still have somewhere the Goliath gang, so you know, I called them the meat factory because they were just basically built like refrigerators with rolled up carpets for arms, and there is a cigar that you have to put into the boss's mouth. I thought, why is that just not part of the face? Why is that a thing? Just so that they could say, oh yeah, high detail. It's fun. My boss lost his Cawdor piece. I saved the cigar. There we go. Anyway, I'm going to take 10 minutes. You should take 10 minutes too. I'm going to go and finish off this cup of tea, and I'm going to get myself a grown-up juice. I highly recommend you do the same. But whatever it is that you do, you should definitely go and change your paint water. See you in 10. Cheers. Hello and welcome back. I went and did a thing. I went and got myself a grown-up juice because it's the weekend. Happy weekend and happy summer solstice, everybody. Cheers. Oh, that's a flavour I've missed. Not just the greatest song in the world. Right. So, to bring you up to speed, been painting these little assassin guys. They're really cool. I've based them all. I always say basing. I've primed them all. And I've started on some blocking some colours now. The orange is looking really, really good. But I'm comparing it with some of the other models that I've already painted. And that orange is much bolder. It's much darker. Which tells me that I need to do another coat on it. And just comparing it against side by side. Oh, that's a gassy beer. Excuse me. Now, I know that these models, there's a lot more going on with them because they're already finished painted and they've got weathering colours and things like that on them. But you'll see in just a second, it's very vibrant. It does exactly what it says on the bottle. It's very hot looking. So I just need to put another coat on there. I might even brush on some of the Fanatic paint that I've got to see what that's like and maybe spray over the top of that. I don't know yet. But it just needs kind of darkening up, essentially. Once I've got that done, then it's time to go on to some silver and to some brassy brass, which I've got right here. I've got a brushable version and I've got an airbrush version as well to see which one works. Now, I was going through my brush versions of the paints. There's actually a few more paints in the brush range. It's getting hard to say that now. And there's also tinny tin and tempered copper. I love it when they have like brassy brass and tinny tin. The tin and copper colours might actually be more what I've kind of got in my head, but I've always wanted to have something to use brassy brass on. So I'm going to use brassy brass, and I'm going to use a thin black wash over the top of it to kind of blend it all in and make it look a bit more darker as well. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do essentially. I've got some silver, I've got some brassy brass, I've got some bright silver, I've got some orange, and that's where we are at the moment. If this is your first time coming along to Easy 8 and you like what we do, please do consider subscribing to the show, because every subscriber goes a long way to making the community grow, and I do it all for you guys, and for me, obviously, but the community is what this is all about. It's about sharing a passion, that's an accent for a language that doesn't exist. We all share a passion for the same hobby. I'm going a little bit mental now, and it's just nice to be able to share that love, share that passion, share ideas, share victories, share failures, you know, talk things through, and most importantly, make some friends live while someone else is struggling. Me, you might be struggling as well, and that might give you the lift that you need to get through your painting. So let us know if you're working on anything this evening. I genuinely am interested. I'll put my teeth in a minute. I'm genuinely interested in the things that you're doing. So if you are working on something, I have to slow right down now. Please do come and tell me. And if you want to share photos, I'll stop it. What is in this? Oh, I'll have some more. Reprogramming. Beep boop bob. If you want to show some photos, I'd love to see them. You can stick them up on Facebook and on Discord. At Discord, you can join me and whoever else is joining me as well at the end of the show at the Easy 8 after party. Yeah, apparently I just needed another sip of the beer. It's going to be one of those days. Please do subscribe. Thumbs up if you haven't done already on the video, because everything goes a really long way to making the algorithm work in my favour. Our favour. It's our community. So yeah, hit the thumbs up. Go on, do it now. I'll wait. Thanks very much. Cheers. Don't know what's happened to the music. There it is. Okay, cool. Whatever. Anyway, enough of that. Let's get back to the workbench. Didn't Tinny Tin sing Tiptoe Through the Tulips? Showing your age with that comment. Fortunately not my age, because I don't know what you're talking about. I know the song, but I don't know who Tinny Tin was. Perhaps the person who sang Tiptoe Through the Tulips. Maybe. Yeah, not that old. Sorry, Shiv. Right, let's get the piece of paper back out again. I've got a couple of other models here. These are the other ones that I've painted. Here's just the standard guy with a rifle. Yeah, he looks cool. And you can see the difference. Do you see what I mean? I know that this looks louder because this guy's all been weathered down, but it just needs one more coat. There's just some patchy bits on there. It just needs another go. Easy peasy. Gonna do that right now. And just because it's nice to have him. There's the one that looks all glowy. Yeah, that's so cool. I love it. Cool. So we've got those over there. I don't want to get them sprayed with any overspray. Right, very quickly. Just going to put a couple of drops of this in the airbrush. I'm just going to work my way over it, all over it again. 1, 2, that's all it needs. quick flow test. Flash. Here we go. Let's start on this side. Why not? That's actually working wonders, to be fair. I'm doing everything I need to do. Oops. Button things today, aren't I? Now, Stafford, who's normally in the live chat, he's got some stuff going on lately, so he's not able to make it in often at the beginning of the show, but did mention the other week when he was on that it's been a little while since we've done an Easy 8 road trip, and has been calling for us to do one. I absolutely agree. I think it's time that we went off on a road trip. He suggested the Tank Museum. We always go to the Tank Museum. I absolutely love going to the Tank Museum. But if anybody would like to go anywhere else and meet up, if we have to drive out a little bit further, that's fine, I suppose. Let's arrange something. In the meantime, the Tank Museum is a great place to go. All proceeds go to a very worthy cause of maintaining, relics from the war, and the educational side of it as well. And it's just really fun. We've also got annual tickets, so why not go, make use of them. And I know that Sam was in the live chat earlier on. I wonder if Sam, are you still in the live chat? If you are, just drop a little message in, just let us know that you're still watching, because Sam was saying a little while ago that you wanted to go as well. And you know what, it's always fun to go with someone who hasn't been there before, just so that you can see your reactions. I love it. So if you're interested in going to the Museum of Tanks in Bovington, that's in Dorset in the UK. It is a world famous museum because it houses Tiger 131 and the Sherman Fury, both from the film Fury. So if you'd like to go, drop me a line. You can talk to me in Facebook, here on YouTube, Discord, Instagram, wherever. Do you know what? Just come and have a chat. But if you've got ideas on where to go, let's go somewhere else as well. Now Shiv's saying Warhammer World. Do you know what? I'd love to go to Warhammer World. It's a little bit further up, isn't it? But there's definitely something that we could arrange. I was going to go a couple of years ago for my 40th birthday because, my 40th circuit around the sun, 40,000. It just seemed like the right thing to do. But there were some things that got in the way, and I can't remember what they were. I remember being a little bit upset about it, but whatever. I'd love to go to Warhammer World. I'd love to go and see like the museum and things. And it's a day out, isn't it? Book a table, play some games or whatever. So if you're interested in doing that, maybe we'll make that a bigger thing. See if we can get as many people as possible. Go book some tables, play some games, have some food, stay there for a day or two, meet up with the wider Easy 8 community, bring some more people into it, make the community grow, have some beers, get a little bit drunk, have a beer buzz. Let's do it. Let's make that a thing. Yeah. Got very excited by that then. Bovington have just got their King Tiger with the Porsche turret back recently as well. Yes, I saw the post you put up the other day. Absolutely thrilling to go and see anything new that they add into their collection. It's gonna be awesome. We could go down for Tiger Day, but our tickets don't get us in for Tiger Day, so we could just go for like a normal day. I think that would be fine, right? I need some silver. Here we go. Chainmail is a nice mid-silver. And I'm going to spray this on all of these guys here because they've got a lot of bionic arms, bionic legs. They've got some swords, backpacks. Generally, there's a lot of silver on there. And as a metallic, I think it's a good base for putting other metallics on top of. So, yeah. There's going to be some chest plates in here. I think the chest pieces are going to be coppery colour. The faces... I'd like to do the faces kind of dark, so maybe I'll do those crimson. Yeah. So that the blue on their eyes will really show. I could do like a little bit of glow from the eyes, couldn't I? I'm looking back at the comments. Sigh, it hurts being older than EastEnders some days. Careful drinking at Warhammer World, beer goggles and life-size orcs don't mix. Yeah, fair. Also, being that near the factory where they sell all the very expensive plastic crack, right? Right, just going to going to put in a little bit of flow improver. Just because in my head, silver, it's a gritty paint, right? It's got particles in it that make it shiny. That's just the way it is in my head. It's also quite a thick and gloopy paint, even for an airbrush paint. So having a medium in there to help it flow. It's getting better, isn't it? Quick flow test. Ace. Here we go. So obviously I'm going to try and avoid spraying in areas where I don't need to spray it, but I think there's actually far and few between. I want to make sure they get the whole leg from the stump down. I want to get the whole arm from the stump down, swords included. And if I get it on the torso, brilliant, I suppose. So it doesn't really leave an awful lot of space for anything else, so I might just do the whole thing. What I don't want to do... Oh, I've got orange mixed in with my silver paint. Do I have to clean the airbrush out again? No, I think we're good. I think we're good. A little bit of residue left in the hopper. That's why I clean my hopper out all the time. Forgot what I was saying. Now I'm painting these swords in the chainmail silver here, but I do want to do them like a bright silver later on, and then I'm going to put a tiny blue filter, inky blue filter over top of them when they're done to make them look like they're glowing. And I just think that'll make them look, just make them stand out. And they should stand out. They're like the, I suppose the focus points on these models. They are the danger, the weapons. Oh, I've got an itchy head. While I'm at it, beer break. Yum, yum, yum. Get the backpack done as well. I'm starting to think that actually trying to spray them gently so that I get just certain areas is actually just going to be more time consuming. So there's so much stuff on them to be silver, I might as well just do the whole thing silver, right? If I can avoid doing the trousers or the sleeves, brilliant. I just don't think it's going to be easy to do. So at this point, just get some silver on it, right? Did anybody else hear that very offensive noise in the background? I think I still have my Facebook Messenger open on my desktop. So very little I can do about that right now. I want to... Okay, I managed to close it in the background. That's a little bit unprofessional and a little bit embarrassing. I wonder if you guys heard that. He's kind of badass, doesn't he? I like him. Do you know, I've never actually played with these guys though. Just like painting them and collecting them. I will though, I'd love to. I'd love to have a game with them. That's one done. Move on to another. I've been talking to friends about Warhammer recently and the fact that we don't really play it much anymore, and I seem to mention this quite a lot. It's a 10th edition, just doesn't work for me, and I've still got all my old 9th edition rules. We talked about it on Discord at the end of last week on the topic of this, weren't we? And yeah, I've still got all my 9th edition stuff. We won't get rid of that. The game played really well. And that's one of the things I actually like about all the different rule sets, is you can just pick a preference. You don't have to stay current with it. You just play a game that best suits you. And there's some old school fans out there, and I'm sure there's going to be some of you in the live chat right now who remember the old Rogue Trader days and the 2nd edition days. I grew up with the 2nd edition. That was where I came into it. It was when it first became Warhammer 40,000, because before then, like I say, it was called Rogue Trader. And I'm sure that there's a lot of nostalgia floating around in the ether out there for those two games, and it's just the same with the modern versions. If you like 6th edition or 7th edition or whatever, so on and so forth, stay with whatever edition you feel currently. Obviously, if you want to go and play official tournaments, you've got to play the current rules. And there's a couple of reasons why Games Workshop or any company would update their rules. First one is adding new stuff in. The next one is making adjustments and improving the game and the way it works with feedback from the community. But also just changing it up so that it stays profitable, I suppose, because at the end of the day they are a business. They've got to make money, and that might feel quite uncomfortable to some people. It certainly does to me sometimes, because it feels like an unnecessary cost to go and spend all that money on more codexes and army books or whatever, and rule books, and then relearning all over everything again, and then buying all the additional stuff that goes with it. I've had a quick go at 10th edition and it just didn't work for me. Who here has played 10th edition and who really enjoys it? Who enjoys it more than other editions? Or who is in Camp Danny and prefers older editions? What edition is your favourite and why? I'd love to know more. Halfway through the airbrushing of silver. I have now run out of silver. Ship says, if you go to Warhammer World and don't buy the exclusive not table legal Land Raider and or Rhino, you never really went to Warhammer World. Okay, cool. Well, at least I know I've got to take some money with me. I got the Gene Stealer Cult Box and Codex on the way, so I guess I'm getting into 10th edition soon. Yeah, I suppose. I could play 10th edition if other people have got the book and all the supporting material that would go with it. I don't own any of that stuff. I obviously own the models, so it takes a bit of practice to learn it. And if people wanted to play 10th edition with me, I love 40k. Of course I'd go and play it. It's just not my preference. I just don't own the stuff for it. I've said it before, I think that the new game is a little too heroic now. I know that 40k is all about the heroes. It used to be a skirmish game, and I like the fact that you could be either, and it's not anymore. That's the problem. I think it's all about chasing sixes. There's so many saves and things that you can do now. You just need the highest number all the time, and that's all it really is. And I'm not the only person that shares that sentiment. I do like the fact that they've kind of gone back to what looks like old sort of stat lines and things from 2nd edition, but if I remember rightly, and I don't remember very well, I think they brought that in 9th anyway. So everything started to have its own movements, because for a long time everything moves the standard distance, everything moves 6 inches, and there might be some special rules here and there, like if you've got beasts or horses or whatever, that you might move a little bit faster or whatever. But they started to go back to that sort of profile that looked second edition. That's a personal view, of course. Like that is without really doing much research or looking into it too much. I liked it. 10th edition just doesn't feel 40k to me anymore. I remember when people felt that it was moving away from a skirmish game and thought that it was moving too much into the bigger stuff. I agree with that. That is a bad move, but I don't think that it is something you need to get worked up about, because I believe you can just agree with your opponents what it is that you want to play with. If you want to play with big stuff, you go, hey, I want to play with big stuff. I've got all these big things. Let's have a game that's kind of reminiscent of Apocalypse, which is all the big stuff. Or you go, I'm really into small skirmish games. Can we just take a couple of units in a tank or a dreadnought or something like that? Brilliant. You kind of... There's no need to have separate rules for Apocalypse stuff or skirmish stuff or anything in between. You just decide on what you want to do and you play that. That's just cordial player agreement, you know. And that's what I've always done. So I don't necessarily need it to be an Apocalypse game or a skirmish game. You just choose. And up until like 8th edition, 9th edition, they had Lords of War, which is, if it is a big thing, it's called a Lord of War, and ideally your opponent needs to have one if you've got one, and there are lots of different types. You could have a massive, super heavy tank that is, designed for taking out small cities. But you could also have, a Space Marine General. Lords of War means different things, but they often come with a lot of other abilities that, give your army some punch. It kind of levels the playing field a little bit. But I also don't mind playing games that are a little bit uneven. No war was ever fought where they were both like even Stevens. In fact, you want to try and be bigger and better and whatever, not balanced. That's why when me and my friends play tank games, I often go Allies, British or American, and I take Shermans against very big German tanks, because that's what it was. And you know what? The honour of winning is more. If you beat the big thing, well done. I've played games against, huge, great big tanks with Griblies and whatever, and I've been, had my hand shaken for a game well played. Sometimes it's just luck. Other times it's because you worked for it, and I like that. It's cool. But I like infantry in my armies. I'm not a great big fan of lots of big stuff all the time. Have a couple of units of big stuff in your army. It's always nice to kind of complement your several infantry units with a big thing or two, for sure. But when it comes to Tyranids, for example, when you have an army made of big things, it's often referred to as Nidzilla. And while that is fun to have big gribbly things, I don't think it's in the right spirit of what a Tyranid army should be. I think it should be a horde army with some big things in the middle, which make you go, oh my god, when that gets hit, that's going to hurt even more. Okay, I have just run out of silver. That is really good timing. Pop that away over here. I'm just going to give the airbrush a good clean out because silver's gross. It goes all swirly in the hopper and I don't like it. And while it does that, of course, I'm going to have a drink. Jeff says, has 10th edition been written more for the big clubs? Do you know, that's a really valid point, and I don't know, I suppose, is the answer. I'd like to think yes, because it sounds like a nice thing to do. It's very tournamenty. I'll give you that. Like it certainly has a tournament vibe to it. It feels very competitive. When I play games, I like to play it the more narrative way, which is I've got these things over here that I like, and I have them because I like them, and you've got those things over there which you like, and then as you're playing it, you kind of write a bit of a story for it, don't you? Why are we fighting? What are the circumstances that led up to this thing? And you can get some very cinematic scenes And I can recount many over the years. Why are you not shifting that paint now? Go on. Well, just in the nick of time, I finished using my airbrush. And I say just in the nick of time because it is blocked up. Calamity. Right. Starting to get some sound errors on my end. If anyone's having a quality of stream issue, do let me know. Haven't had a sound error like that for a little while. Just watching the stream beside me there, it looked like it went a bit janky for a second. Don't know what that was all about. My apologies. Looks like after the stream I'm going to be stripping the airbrush down and giving it a really good clean. I reckon it's just a flaky bit of paint that's got in there somewhere. Bit of dry paint on the end of the needle there, I think. Okay, it is shifting. It is going, just very slowly. There we go. These things happen. Silver fingertips. Sounds fine here. Okay, cool. Maybe it's just my end then. Oh, it's taking a long time, isn't it? Come on now. Shiv says, I love 2nd edition, but needing a data card for your vehicles that was very easily lost, or the entire expansion for Psychers was not great. Oh yeah, I remember loosely Psychers as a whole expansion. I didn't own the rules at the time when I was playing 2nd edition, so I don't remember very well, but that does sound familiar. More information on that, please. Adrian says that the updates and such seem to be written more for competitive play than narrative. Yeah. And I think that's what Jeff was just saying there, wasn't it? As maybe it is written more for the bigger clubs. You're absolutely right. And you know what? That's fine. I don't mind. There we go. That's an emptied airbrush. Cool. Remind me at the end of the show on Discord, please. I need to clean that out properly. Right, let's move that away. Excellent. Gross. Right, so I've got the 4 main fighty guys. They're all silvered up. Fantastic. I'm going to now start putting some silver on this guy. I could probably apply it a little bit more delicately. Doesn't need to go all over the place. Could also do some red on him as well. But actually what I want to do, because I've only got a few minutes really left on the show, I want to do something a bit more exciting with these guys, is I'm going to make a 50-50 mix of Basilicanum Grey and water, so that I can apply a wash over them. Excuse me. Where is my Basilicanum Grey, please? There it is. Lovely. Got some mixing balls in there, because it's a contrast paint. And it seems to separate into sort of a thick, chalky, clay-like base. You mean the Deathwing box set? Sorry, the Dark Millennium. Was that what it was called? Are we talking about the Psyker expansion for the 2nd edition? Such a long time ago. I just don't remember. Do you know, I absolutely loved all of the artwork back then. I remember looking in one of the codexes or something, and it might have been in one of the Space Marine books, a picture of the the old style Space Marines, and it had Space Marines fighting, face to face, looking on side profile, if you like, so you can see, good versus bad. And then the picture panned out into the distance, and it just turned into like a massive, indistinct individuals and explosions and shells and rockets and plasma and whatever, and all of that sort of artwork from all those years ago stayed in my head as a part of the iconic imagery, if you like. Love it, absolutely love it. I remember that expansion from the 90s, says Crumbs. So it would have been roughly about 94, 95 when I got into it, I think. Because I'm trying to base it off of when I was at school. I didn't get into it in secondary school. Didn't get into it in the first year. It was in my second year, which should have been sort of 94, 95. And I think it was quite early into that year, so I think it would have been 94. Yeah. So I don't know where that falls into second edition, third edition. I remember third edition being a big thing because Tau came out at the same time. I remember that being a big doodah. But that was third edition, wasn't it? That Tau came into it. All blessings one. Dave Gallagher era. Who was Dave Gallagher? Was he one of the developers for it all? Rings a bell, but Gallagher, common name, ish. Sams, how are you getting on? Do you know what, mate? I'm having a great time. I've got my guys all silvered. I've got this guy here all oranged, and I'm going to be applying a wash over the silver to kind of make the detail stand out a little bit. But what I need to do is I need to have some water and this grey colour, dark grey, mixed in equal amounts. So what I use for this is a pipette. So I use one for clear water and one for other things. So what I'm going to do is I'll suck up some of this, and they're different size pipettes, so the drops will be different, but I'm not really that accurate about it. But I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Why not, right? I've got a few to do. I'll just pop that on the side. And then with this one here, I can get some water. I can go. Get any water. Oh, I had glue or something on the end of it. That's weird. Wasn't sucking up any water in there. There we go. That's better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That looks very messy. I'm going to mix that all up. I'll mix and brush. So now we've got very watered down contrast paint. It's a very, very dark grey, and it's really good for applying over the silver colours. Helps just tone the shininess down a little bit. Well, I like the shiny, but on the smaller miniatures it doesn't work so well. But more than anything, it just makes everything look a little bit more true metal. But by being a wash and being quite runny, having the surface tension broken down by water, runs into all the recesses, it will show up any errors, like any seam lines or whatever that I've missed. That's fine. Over there. Take some of this up. Got my number 2 brush here, and I'm just going to apply it fairly liberally all over. I say fairly, I don't want it to pool or anything like that. And I think I'm going to do it all over, even in the areas where I'm not going to have silver in the end, where I'll paint over it, because it will probably help with adhesion from other paints, but also it might help combat the difficulties that metallic paints provide when you're trying to paint over them with other non-metallic paints. I know I'm just kind of coming up with ideas on the fly, but it just seems like a sensible thing to do. If I see it pooling, I come in with a slightly dried brush, and I just touch that pooling bit, and it picks it up back into the brush, and you can move it around elsewhere. But the trick is to not rush and go in too heavy, otherwise you'll end up with areas that aren't really silver at all. And we want it just to accent the silver. As you can see here already, it's starting to look really neat. These things look a little bit oily, etc. So Sam, I don't know if you've been keeping up live all the way through the show, but just a little bit earlier on we were talking about going on another road trip, an Easy 8 road trip. Now, for people in this area here, or for people that are just keen anyway, so when I say people in this area, I mean people in the southwest, we were talking about going to the Tank Museum. We go there a lot, as I was saying earlier. We do go there a lot, and that's okay. It's a great place to go. If people are interested in going on an Easy 8 road trip, let me know, because we can start organising it with those people that are talking about going to Warhammer World. I'd love to go to Warhammer World. Yes, let me know what you think. Would you like to go? Would you like to go to the Tank Museum? There's a combat collection very nearby to where I live, so some of the more local people to me would probably want to go to that. Some people have said that as well, so yeah. Comments going in. Jeff says, by the way, Army Painter are doing a paint set giveaway. Sign up to their newsletter to enter £175 worth every month with the new Fanatic Mega Set. Cool. That is a paint that I've got here. This one. And apparently they're wicked paints. I haven't used it yet, but they're supposed to be very creamy consistency paints, so they're very good to use. Very high pigment. So yeah, apparently they're like the next evolution of quality paints. So if you're interested in that, go and check that deal out. Also, Grant from Overlord is an official stockist of Army Painter, so may also have deals that might be better or might not be as good as that. So yeah, do some research if you're interested in getting some new paints. Army Painter Fanatic is absolutely the way forward. Thanks for sharing that. I did not know that. I've been stung by Army Painter in the past, though a lot of people say the new range is decent. Yeah, there you go. I've seen a lot of pro painters use it. Now, you could say, but pro painters, they're in cahoots. They kind of get paid by the companies or whatever. As far as I'm aware, all of the stuff that I've seen has all been volunteered. That's cool. I didn't really want to apply this wash at this stage. I wanted to do the brassy brass as well and get that on there and kind of do it all in one go. But by applying this wash, it now shows me where all the details are again. By applying just that one colour, especially silver, very reflective, it makes it very difficult sometimes to see where all the different individual details are. But now, much clearer. Very highly detailed model. Love it. To kind of give you an idea of comparison, that's what it looks like washed. That's what it looks like unwashed. Stop rolling around. Stop rolling around. So, yeah. T1000 from Terminator. T800. Shiny, cheap, looks toyish. Looks gritty and metally. You could dry brush that as well to make the details come out to kind of bring that brightness of the silver back out again, but it's still allowing you the shadows and the shapes, etc., to stand out. That's what I mean by cheap looking silver compared to washed silver. And that's literally a 50-50 mix with the silicon and grey and water. Oh, beer. Yum, yum, yum. Right, we're about 10 minutes out from the end of the show. Which is a shame because I'm really enjoying myself. But the show doesn't stop here. If you guys want to, you can come and chill out with me after the show on Discord at the Easy 8 After Party. There's a link to all of our platforms just downstairs in the description down there. Go and check them out. It will make me very happy. Bring a friend along, someone who hasn't been a part of Easy 8 before. Maybe this is the thing that they need to get them started in the hobby or to pick the hobby back up again if they dropped it. Maybe they just need it to complement the hobby that they're already doing very well at. Maybe we need them. I do. I need all the people that I could possibly get hold of because it feeds my ego, but also I'm just not very good. And I like to learn from you guys by seeing the stuff that you do, having conversations with you about how you achieve certain effects. Yeah, I love it. And I paint in so many different genres as well. Like, I know I'm doing a little bit on 40k at the moment, but that's because I spent a couple of months doing stuff, historical stuff for D-Day and other bits and pieces before then. So yes, it's nice to flip between lots of different genres and styles. I really like doing historical stuff. There's something very appealing about doing like realistic historical things. And then I really like going back to this sort of stuff, which is super silly, futuristic stuff. I like the differences. Make sure I've got everything on this guy done. No pooling. Nothing over the top anyway. Lush. These guys are going to look really good when they're all done. And that really is just paying a compliment to the good quality design and sculpts of them. Just a little bit concerned about those swords. I think they're going to snap in any time. You know, just from having them, just from holding them, playing with them, storing them, transporting them. They're going to go at some point, right? Adrian says we could do RNAS Yelverton, which is where the Fleet Air Arms Museum is. That's hard to say. Yes, we absolutely can do. I don't have an awful lot of interest in aircraft, but I can honestly remember when I didn't have an awful lot of interest in tanks. And then I just started painting some tanks and making some tanks, whatever. Went to the tank museum, and then now I know lots about tanks. There's still more to learn, but I love them. I think they're fantastic machines. I know they were designed for things that aren't fantastic, obviously, but great part of history, great part of engineering. Always a charm with big guns on tractors, isn't it? So yeah, I'd love to go to Yelverton. That'd be great. There's a little bit of blue ink in the bottom of the palette, which is dry, but I think as I'm putting this colour on top of it, I think it's starting to reanimate ever so slightly. So I'm getting a slight blue tinge coming out in the wash, and that's fine. It's barely noticeable, but I can see it. Don't tell Stafford, he'll just tell me to clean my palette again. Can't be dealing with that hassle. I do need to pick up a little bit more because I've got a couple more to go. Well, just one more to go for now because I haven't got any silver on the other guy. Just make sure that I've covered all areas. Make sure we've got no pooling on him. A little bit there. Excellent. I'm not so fussed about it being on the swords if it hasn't covered so well on there, as long as it's not on there thick where it would add a texture to it, because I'm going to repaint the swords much later anyway. Like I said, I want them to be a bright silver so they stand out a bit more. It'd be the same sort of colour as piston rams and things like that on there. So yeah, that's kind of cool. I like that. Excellent. What I'm going to do very quickly, I'm actually going to change palette hole because that blue is definitely reanimating. I'm going to get more drops of paint and water. 1, 2, 3. I don't think I mixed up enough. Maybe it was enough. It's a bit watery as well. Do you know what? If in doubt, do it again. It's also mixing with some white that's in there. I need to clean my palette, clearly. Inks. I think they're quite easy to reanimate, which is fun. Glad I've noticed that before I went and did something stupid with it. That's better. A bit too watery a minute ago. Crumb says, I would love to be a part of the Easy 8 road trip, but coming from North Wales, it's a bit steep on the pocket. Yeah, absolutely. Of course, it's not for everybody, and it does depend on where we go. Perhaps one day we're a bit more closer to your neck of the woods, and if we are, we'll obviously let you know, and then you can come along at that point if you want to. We are going to be attending the Recon show in Bradford, or just outside of Bradford, in a little town called Pudsey. It's between Bradford and Leeds, actually. We were there last December. We're going to be there this December. I think it's December the 7th this year. And we're just going to go up there, support the Pit Gaming Store, who are running the show up there now. It's an old show that the original producers, people that were running it, event organisers, stopped doing it for one reason or another, and the Pit decided to pick it back up again because there was some, public outcry. They really wanted it to carry on, and the Pit come from North London, so it's quite a big thing for them. But obviously, it raises awareness for the Pit, and they're a great bunch of guys at the Pit Gaming Store. Check them out. There's a link down there for the Pit Gaming Store. Please do go and check them out. Absolutely wonderful bunch of gents. I see them quite a lot on the road, going around to lots of different shows. They attend so many shows all over the UK. You're probably quite aware of them if you've been to a couple of shows here and there. Anyway, they run Recon, so we'll be there in December. Last year we ran a live stream from that actual event, but it didn't work out so well. We thought that, well, do you know what? That's what Easy 8 is. We're an online painting club, but people wanted to talk to me and didn't want to talk to me whilst I was streaming, which is fair. So this year I probably won't be streaming. I'll be running some shows, so you could, have them whilst I'm there. But we'll just probably have a little painting club, because that's really what we're about, right? It's about getting your stuff painted with other people. So yeah, watch this space on that. That's Pudsey. I couldn't find anywhere to go for a beer last time, but I have been on the maps and I now know where there's a Wetherspoons. So yes, we can go and have a beer this time. Anyway, there we go. Look, we're at the end of the show, and I've got a good way through the initial parts of these. I've got all these guys silvered, and now they've been washed as well, so lots of detail on them as well. This guy here has been oranged. What I need to do now is get some red in there on the inside of his coat, and I'm going to get some silver in there by hand. All of this stuff's now going to be by hand. Yeah, and he's got some overall bits in there as well, so he's got some like sleevey bits up here, and just inside in there he's got some trousery bits. They're going to be blued, and that will kind of complement the very warm colours that are all over him. Yeah, exciting stuff. You can see the seam on his coat, but it's such a bright orange, it's painful to look at, isn't it? I love it. It dulls right down. It does right down. Here's the other guys. Yeah, so it's not going to be so offensive, and it's a really nice colour there. But yeah, on here it's a little bit like, oh. Anyway, let's come away from here to the silly place. It's not that silly. It is really silly. Another week of productivity. Absolutely loving it. I am a little bit intimidated by these, but I think until I start getting into the details on them, I'm not really going to know what I want to do, how I want to do it, and I think that's going to come on as I progress through painting them. Maybe they'll turn out to be even more intimidating, perhaps they'll turn out to be a little bit easier. There's just a lot of stuff on them, and that's the same for the older ones that I painted as well. Looking at these, there's a lot on them, but actually not every tiny detail has to be painted individually. You can just paint a block colour, do a wash, and it kind of makes the detail stand out. Because, you know, I've got lots of details on me, like all my buttons, etc. They're not like all different colours. They're not like all painted silver or whatever. They're black to go with my shirt, etc. I don't know why I pointed to my very bland and not detailed shirt when I was saying I've got a lot of detail on me. But do you know what I mean? Like my headphones, there's stuff, man. You know, it doesn't all have to be painted individual colours. So when I look at a model, there's the child in me that goes, oh, there's a line, there's a dot, there's a detail. I've got to paint that differently to make it stand out. It's not the case. Less is more. Less is more. So yeah, it's just about knowing what colours I want to do and kind of the general overall aesthetic. And I'm going to carry on painting that leader guy. I think he's actually called a princeps. I don't know what that word means, but I see it a lot in 40k. Princeps. Princeps. He's a leader dude. He's got a coat. He looks cool. I'm going to do a little bit more work on him after the show on the Easy 8 after party on Discord. And if you want to join me and whoever else is going to join us as well, you can do so by just clicking the link down there in the description somewhere. The same for following along with any of the other platforms that I show my stuff on, Facebook, Instagram, etc. Go and find us over there as well. There's also a whole host of other links dedicated to cool people who provide services, who've got their own businesses, who run their own shows, etc. Please go and check them out because they're all people who I really value. I think they're really, really cool people and they do some really wonderful painting. So go and check them out as well when you've got some time because it's a little bit late now, isn't it? Yeah. Anyway, my partner's home from doing a very, very long day at work, so I'm going to go say hello to her. And in about 15-20 minutes, I'll be over on Discord if you fancy joining me over there. In the meantime, if you enjoy what we do here on Easy 8, please do consider subscribing. It's just a small button push. Go on, push it. Hit the bell icon so you get alerted every single time when I come online and do a show. Sometimes I do little surprise ones. Not all the time, but sometimes I do. And it'll be great to have a few more subscribers. Let's see if we can get past the 200. I'm going to let the comment section go wild with 200 because they always talk about, things that will happen when we get the 200. But I'm just more happy for people to join the crew, join the family Easy 8 team to make it even more lovely. Anyway, that's enough from me this evening. Clearly struggling to talk. Need to have some more of this. I've got an early start tomorrow morning, so I'm not going to have a late night on it, but perhaps I'll see some of you over in Discord. And until next week, keep on painting. Stay safe, be kind, and I'll see you soon. Take care now. Bye-bye. It's cold, wet, and miserable outside. Yeah, it's like the tropics in this studio. Need to get air conditioning in here, man. Or I should open up a window, but I can't because the cat just keeps on trying to get in like a ninja through the roof. It's terrible, really.